Hi friends, I am Dr. Sean Patterson. Some of you know me, some of you know me well, I've been patients for a long time, and others are just getting to know me a little bit today. And some of you have been following me for years. Maybe I met you at a health food store presentation or a cocktail party or some sort of health expo, and you asked for information, and for some reason I hit you right with an email that says, I want to tell you about my journey, how I've lost 40 pounds over the last 4 years. And I'm going to tell you how I'm going to unpack that. It's not as simple as just do this and you'll get your results. That's why it's taken me 4 years. For some of you, you can get the results you're looking for in 3 months, some 6 months, some 2 years, and some it'll take 10 years. And most of you right now are grumbling, saying, oh, the thought of slow and go, the thought of slow and steady, it just sounds terrible because we are kind of a culture who's used to getting things fast. But number one, I'm just going to tell you about my story, and I think you'll have a lot in common with my story and a lot in common with the patients I've seen over the last 22 years in private practice. So once again, Dr. Sean Patterson, DC, and this is a 6-part story, not to try to waste any of your time, but you have to understand the background here. Okay, so I lost 40 pounds over 4 years. Okay, so that's kind of the premise of this talk. However, like most of you, I've probably lost 10,000 pounds and gained, 9,960 pounds back, which is a net of 40 pounds, right? Most of you want to do something like that. But I'll give you a little background of my story. So I was what you would call an emotional eater. I had a mom who valued health, but she was a working mom, and we grew up with a lot of lack, so we needed a lot of subsidized food, which if you know anything about government food, it's lots of sugar and carbohydrate. The only thing really that wasn't sugar and carbohydrate was we used to joke about the welfare cheese and butter and powdered milk, and I don't really know what those things are, but just because they had a white package that said milk and butter and cheese, once again, I question those things. Even as an adult, I kind of scratch my head and go, what were we eating? But I was an emotional eater, which means if I'm happy, my emotions are high, I like to eat. When my emotions are sad, I like to eat. When my emotions are anxious, I like to eat. When my emotions are stressed, I like to eat. I pretty much like to eat. But now I've learned to separate when I am just medicating with food versus I'm enjoying food. And as I've learned over this last 4 years, my cravings have changed tremendously. I've learned that when my gut and my brain aren't super healthy, they crave the wrong foods, okay? And what that does is I eat sugar and carbohydrate, and then that yields this, okay? This is 5 pounds of fat, friends. That's all it is. 5 pounds, this big old giant thing. Could you imagine? I can't imagine that I've lost 8 of these. It's like my friends weren't telling me the truth. I look at my wife and I go, did you know I was getting that big? She says, well, yeah, but you were happy. And so anyway, back to my background story is when I was about 13 years old, I remember stepping on a scale, pediatrician's office, and the nurse looked at me very judgmentally, very rude, and said, young man, do you know that you weigh 200 pounds or nearly 200 pounds? And, I look back now and I wish I would have said, really? Like, no, I don't know that. I don't know that people tease me and call me butterball. I don't realize that girls aren't interested in me. No, I don't know any of those things. I don't realize that my husky genes aren't fitting anymore. But thank you so much for your great bedside manner and for really caring about my health. But I was about 200 pounds at 5'3", adolescent when I hit puberty, and I got a little bigger, and then I got into fitness. Okay, so I was going to lift weights, and then for those of you who have tried to get healthier, lose weight lifting weights, you find that muscle is easy to build, but the fat doesn't go away. So then I was a very strong, overweight young man. Anyway, long story short, I lost 60 pounds in 6 months. Okay. Was that healthy? Well, it's healthier to be 60 pounds less when you're 15 years old, 16 years old, but the way I did it was the beginning of a damaged metabolism. What I mean by that is I did it the wrong way. Okay, I basically walked 6 miles a day, and I ate nothing until about 4 p.m. every day. 4 p.m. I start eating. All right, so because I didn't eat all day and I was working out and I was walking 6 miles a day, I created a calorie deficit, right? Which was really good. Calorie deficit, started burning fat, but the problem is I created problems in my blood sugar because I was eating a lot of carbohydrate. I was reading muscle and fitness magazines, which I now look back and realize those were geared more towards people that maybe took anabolic steroids or people that were anomalies, not people like me, and maybe not people like you. So I basically starved myself, and then I ate the wrong foods when I did eat. And what that did over a lifetime is it created really unhealthy eating habits, really stressed out adrenal hormones. Adrenal hormones are the hormones that deal with stress. They make things like cortisol, testosterone, progesterone, estrogen, DHEA. These hormones are the ones that keep us youthful. They deal with blood sugar management. They deal with extremely stressful seasons of life and situations. They keep our muscle mass. They make us feel clear thinking and good sleep. They make us feel good about ourselves. And when you deplete your adrenal hormones, we call it adrenal fatigue. I don't know if that's a real thing or just a theory, but we do see deficits in adrenal hormones. So the adrenal hormones get depleted and we're not rebuilding them. Women typically know this in their perimenopausal years because what happens is as you start shifting into menopause, your ovaries don't make as many hormones, your adrenal hormones should pick up the slack, and we see a crash. And doctors seem to blame that on menopause, but that's not fair because menopause should be an abundance of new energy, right? For 30 years you menstruated and now you don't have to rebuild that tissue and slough it off every month. You don't have to have babies. You should have more energy reserves, not less. We see it around perimenopause though because that's when the adrenal hormones kind of show their hand that they're exhausted or tired. Too much stress will inhibit thyroid function. It'll affect blood sugar, and then we keep on pumping the carbohydrates into our life. So anyhow, back to what I did, 40 pounds in 4 years. So the first step I'm going to talk about, the 6-part story is my background. That's today, how I got on this health journey, and all the things I did wrong. The poor body image, the addicted to carbohydrates, the carb loading the nights before a run. Running in general, for most people, is a very, very poor idea, very contraindicated. I dealt through chronic pain. I dealt with a lot of low energy and digestive issues. And anyway, part number 2 will be doing it wrong. So when I was in my mid-30s, I had 4 kids, healthy business, a lot of stress, married, just kind of being everything to everyone. I'm quite a helper by nature. And so I wore myself out. And the way I expressed that was through weight gain again. So I went from about 160 pounds all through college and graduate school and into private practice. And then all of a sudden I started having kids. And the only difference between my wife and I is when we had a new baby, she'd lose her baby weight and I'd gain the baby weight. So I gained probably about 10 pounds a kid and have 4 kids. So there's my 40 pounds. 2018, went to Nana and Papa's house for Thanksgiving. They had a little scale by the toilet. I'm like, oh, I'm going to weigh myself. I haven't done that in a while. Didn't have a scale. And I got on there and it was like, wow. I had gotten up to 187 pounds and I'm not a very tall person. So for me, that was about 40 pounds too heavy, maybe 35 pounds too heavy. The part number 3, we're going to talk about how I started to do things right to reverse that. Part number 4 is I learned the things I didn't know were hurting me. What I didn't know was hurting me. So, I know what I know. I know what I don't know. Like I know I probably wouldn't be very good at flying a plane right now. I know I don't know how to clean a rifle. I know that I don't know how to write code on a computer. Okay, so I know what I know. I know what I don't know, but it's what I don't know that was hurting me, and is probably hurting you too. It's things like deuterium, things like saturated fat and carbohydrate activating the Randall cycle, things like carnivore versus keto versus low carb versus Atkins versus the A to Z diet, right? You start at Atkins and you end at Zone. Most of you have done the A to Z diet. Just all the things we don't know what we're doing to ourselves. Drinking too much water. We think water drinking is healthy. Well, I can give you science why it's not healthy and why we have water addiction problems. So I'm going to rattle a lot of things, you guys, but that's how, as the human guinea pig, I learned to do things right. So step 5 is I'm on to something, and I'll share what this last year's been like. And then the last one, step 6, will be where I'm at now and how I've probably appreciated more healing in the last 6 months and actual results than I did in the previous 3 years before that. And I was already doing everything I knew to do right. So a few little things really changed everything. So that's going to be our story. I'm going to tell you how I lost 40 pounds in 4 years. I'm going to tell you, do not do the 60 pound in 6 months. I've even lost 30 pounds in 3 weeks, 21 days. So most of you right now are like, oh, that's what I want to talk about. Let's do that. Let's do the 30 pounds in 3 weeks. Okay, well, we can do it, and I'll damage your metabolism before you could even, say weight loss, and you'll feel horrible, but you'll look good for that vacation, okay? Here's the solution to that. Just don't eat. Just drink water for 3 weeks, It's not medical advice. I'm being facetious, but that's really what I did. So fasting. So I've done everything from not eating to getting up in the middle of the night, actually drinking grape juice and eating cornflakes at 3 a.m. because I thought I was going to get my muscles bigger and stronger. Yeah. So I've made a lot of foolish choices, decisions, and I would love to take all my mistakes and translate them into good advice for you and what might work for you. Okay? So it's going to be a process. We could go through it together. I'll try to pump out these videos every day or two so you're not waiting around. But please do me a favor. I want this to be interactive. So if I keyed on anything you want to know more about today, any of the keywords I said, please shoot an email back to me. And I'd like to know your background. So who's listening? What have you gone through? I want to know who my audience is. And we might even do one of these live where we can do some Q&A and things like that. But right now we'll kind of do it old school. You listen to this, you respond with some things about your background and what are your goals. And do me a favor, guys. This is how I get the word out, and I build my influence and my practices by you telling your friends. So shoot this video over to your friends, have them send me, a response and answer these questions. I'll put them on my mail list, and they could be part of this program with us. Okay? There's no charge for this, and if you would like for your reward for making it through the end of this video. I wrote a little book years back called The Pre-Diet Plan, Everything That Must Happen Before You Can Successfully Diet to Lose Weight. I'm not going to send you a hard copy, but if you would like to learn what the $60 billion weight loss industry, it's probably $100 billion now, is not telling you, just respond to this, answer my questions, and all you have to do is say, send me a preview copy of this book, and I'll email you a PDF version of the book. And you could read through it, and it will help you understand where we're going. All right? God bless you. Thanks for being part of this, and stay tuned for next time in a day or two. Bye-bye.